Hello, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to run through investing, especially for beginners. This is something that isn't usually talked about. You see a lot in the media about the importance of investing, but practically, how do you do this and how do you get started? It's something that even as a chartered accountant myself, I have only just started this in the last year, and I'm really keen to share with you what I've learned and what I've done over this past year to hopefully help encourage you to do something similar if it's what you want to do, or just give you a guide as to what a very, very modest investment pot looks like. So, without further ado, let's go. So, to start with, what app do I use? So, my main investment app, and I mean main, I've only really got two, but my main one is Trading 212. I did a video about this last year about my Trading 212 ISA, which I will put a link up here for, and probably link at the end of the video for that one if you're interested in the cash ISA. Alongside that, you can also invest in or use a stocks and shares ISA. So as part of the same pot, you can shift money between the two, retain your ISA allowance. I won't go into the ISA allowance for now, but it is one of the most efficient ways to invest in stocks and shares is through a cash ISA if you haven't already maxed out your cash ISA allowance. So I'll flash up a couple of screenshots here of the app. I haven't worked out how to do screen recording on my phone, so God knows how people do that. But here is the first screenshot. So this just shows my stocks and shares ISA. You'll see here that my total investment amount is £1,869.40. So that's the current value as at today, which is the 20th of September 2025. That is how much is in my stocks and shares ISA portfolio. Now, the first thing I want to say is that might not seem like a huge amount, but this is the point. For beginners, especially for myself, I'm quite risk averse. I just wanted to kind of test the water and see how investing on kind of my own terms felt to me. And I did it with an amount that I wasn't necessarily scared of losing. And this is the number one point I really want to highlight with any sort of investment, is that your money, regardless of how low the risk is, your money could effectively go to zero. That could happen. You could lose all of your money. So I only really invest an amount that I'm comfortable to lose, if that makes sense. And it sounds really counterintuitive. We kind of all naturally do this anyway. Our defined contribution pensions are invested in this way, in that effectively we take on all the risk. So if 20 years or whenever we go to take them, they've halved in value, that's on you. That's where the risk is. So it kind of is really the only way to invest now, I guess. So I kind of don't really look at it too much, but that's why I have a heavier split towards my cash ISA at the moment than my stocks and shares ISA, because I'm investing in property, which for those of you that are interested, I've got a series out about what we're building. I'm more heavily reliant on cash right now. Once that project finishes, I'll probably move a lot more of my cash into a stocks and shares ISA to maximize, or hopefully maximize, my return. Anyway, that was a bit of a deviation. Let's jump back into the app. So just looking at this, I've got about £1,900 invested, and you'll see using the Trading 212 app, they've got a promotion on at the moment where you can get free shares. So you get 100 free shares, up to a maximum of 500, I believe, for every friend that you invite, and then they start using a stocks and shares ISA themselves. So it's quite a nice way if you've got a couple of friends that are looking at this. One of you could sign up, or family or partners. One of you could sign up, get yourself set up, share the link, and then hopefully they could gain a 300 shares. You gain a 300 shares. Just kind of helps boost up that initial pot. So quite a nice touch from Trading 212 there. I quite like it. I'm not sponsored by Trading 212, by the way. I just really like the app. I think it's really easy to use and makes investing really straightforward and simple. Trading 212, if you're watching this, happily will take the sponsorship though. More than happy to do that. But this is not a paid ad. It is not financial advice either. It is just what I'm doing currently. So just having a look, if you go to the home page as well, so here this is just the current list of kind of my watch list. So I've got a couple of US kind of holistic portfolio funds, so the US 500, Tech 100, I watch, UK 100, and then just some of the standard Nvidia, Apple, Tesla, gold, some of the key commodities and companies that are doing quite well or are quite talked about in the news that you can invest in. Don't really invest in single stocks, to be honest, but I have them on my watch list just in case. And then jumping down to the crux of it. So if I go back into there's a little pie button, click that pie button. So this is the next screenshot I'll put up. These are my current investments. So I have an S&P mix. Now what that is basically I follow another investor who has kind of put all this stuff together. So it's a mix of like the S&P 500, some US Treasury gilts, bonds, which if you don't understand what that means, don't worry too much. It's just basically a bucket of US based assets that the idea is that by combining companies with gilts and treasury bonds, it might kind of pull down a little bit of the upside, but in an attempt to mitigate some of the downsides. So if some of the top companies start performing badly, the gilts and stuff should kind of prop them up a little bit and vice versa. So that is where I put £50 a month. That just comes straight in direct debit. The rest you will see are just assets and funds that I put money into as and when I get money free to chuck in, basically. So I have Vanguard S&P 500. So this is an accumulator, which is what the little bracket ACC means. So the accumulator means that every time that pays out a dividend or pays me a return, it just gets put back into the pot, reinvested, and it buys me more shares in that pot. So I don't draw anything out as dividends at this time. I just leave it all invested. Any returns I make goes in to hopefully make more returns on my return. What's it? Drinking game for the word return there. And then I also have some gold holding and some silver holding. So I just buy into a raw commodity fund. These funds aim to track what that commodity price is doing. So it's basically like buying gold and silver. And to be fair, these are my best performing ones, I believe, or at least gold is. Gold's done really well this last year. So gold is up 17%. Probably should have put more in. And silver's up 9.83%. Now, given my cash ISA at the moment is paying 3.25%, all of these combined have made me a net 17% return over the year. So massively outperformed what my ISA has done, like phenomenally. If I'd have put all of my ISA money into here, I'd be doing way better. And I believe the return I've made overall is about £165 over the last year of interest returns, or just return on my investment, which is pretty good given that I've probably put in about £1,700 then. So that is a pretty decent return for a year. That 17% is really, really good. And this is what I really wanted to highlight with this video, is that you don't have to invest huge amounts to start with. I think the risk, or at least for me, felt like if I chucked like £5-6 grand in and it plummeted, I'd feel devastated. So I wanted to just do an amount that made me feel comfortable and just do it little and often, and I will just keep plugging away at this now for the next 20-30 years. And hopefully I'll have quite a nice little chunk of money in here once I get to that point and I want to use it. As you know from some of the other videos, I also do my overpayment mortgage, which could arguably have gone into this and made me 17%. But this is one of the highlight points. Investing is a very new thing just in the mainstream. It used to only really be reserved for a lot of the elite London bankers and things like that, and hedge funds. It's only been the last sort of 10-15 years that people have actually just started to invest themselves. So don't feel bad for doing a small amount and not wanting to take huge risk. I certainly don't want to take huge risk until I understand more of what I'm investing in. And that's why I just do small amounts. Again, you've got to be in it to win it. If all of a sudden these have huge returns, yes, the money cash amount that I'll earn won't be that huge, but the percentage amount will be huge, and it's better than nothing. And that just gives me the confidence to keep plugging away and keep investing going forward. So that's the mindset that I've grown over the last year and adopted. And it's one that I'm trying to not advise, but encourage other people to at least explore. And I think the Trading 212 platform, as I've said before, and I've said last year, is a really, really good platform, really easy to use. If it's something that you're not quite sure whether you want to dive into and you're right on the edge, I think Trading 212 is a really, really good tool to have in your arsenal when it comes to investing and just exploring what options are out there. Even if it's just chucking £5-10 just to see what happens and just getting up to speed with what investing looks like. And that's it. A really quick video. Just wanted to put this out there, especially now that they've got the promotional offer on to get 100 free shares. If there's something you were on the fence about, I would definitely look into that. I'm trying to encourage as many people as I know to sign up because I want my free shares too. It's something that we don't often talk about too much, savings and investments and things. And it's why I've started this channel, and I would be remiss to not put a video out specifically on this element of my savings. It makes up a very small portion of my current portfolio, and in the next financial video we'll be going over my Q3 savings and looking holistically at where I am for my full year 2025 savings goals. So you'll see there more heavily what I'm invested in, where my money's going. A lot of it, to be fair, and for those of you that have followed all of my videos will know, a lot of it in this last year has gone towards a wedding and a lot on the house in Europe. So that's why a lot of these amounts are quite small, but I still try to keep plugging away, still try to keep putting money into savings as and when I can, even though a lot of my cash is going into a physical asset right now. That's it from me. I hope you found this one interesting. If you have any questions, any comments, please feel free to drop them below. But as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.